Hi, and welcome to another episode of Devil Wears Data. I'm in the Netherlands today, and Dutch are known to be direct. Not in a rude way, but in an efficient way, which means if the answer is usually no, the Dutch are going to say no directly to you and not beat around the bush. In fact, there is a popular reality TV show called The First Dates, which is filmed both in the Netherlands and in the UK. Now, the idea of the show is that the couples are arranged to go out on first dates. And they go usually to a cafe or a restaurant, they have their first date, and then they're asked later on by the producers how their first date went. And if it went bad for the UK participants, they usually beat around the bush. They would say something like, yeah, it went okay. When the producers ask them, are they likely to go on a second date, they are usually saying, yes, maybe the date went interesting, maybe I will go. They never say, or they are less likely to say, no, we won't go on a second date. But in the Netherlands, if the date goes bad, they usually directly say to the producers, no, we are not likely to go on a second date. Now, why I'm telling you this is that there is a recent research out on AI, and what has happened with AI is that it has been trained on human data. Now, these same things of social influence has also percolated in the AI data. Now, there are guardrails, but what the researchers wanted to see is whether the human social influence tactics work on the AI data as well. For instance, what researchers have found that authority works for influencing people. If a nurse is working in a hospital and she gets a call from a doctor or someone who's sounding like a doctor, right? She doesn't know whether there is a doctor on the other line. She is more likely to respond to an illegitimate ask if the person is sounding authoritative like a doctor. Similarly, we are likely to respond if there is flattery, right? Or if we tell someone, oh, you've been so helpful, you've been so good, can you please help me with slightly illegitimate ask as well. And what happens is we usually end up doing it because someone has been so nice to us and we respond to that ask favorably. Now, the researchers did something interesting. They wanted to test this idea that would AI models also respond to illegitimate requests, in the sense that they wanted to test whether the AI models will tell people how to synthesize regulated substances. When they use these social influence tactics, will the AI comply with those tactics? For instance, they did the same thing like, I'm an authority and you must or you should do this. And guess what? AI was more likely to comply to this ask of synthesizing regulated substances. Similarly, they tried prompting AI that you have been so helpful so far. Will you please also tell me how to make this regulated substance? And AI, guess what, was again likely to comply. What they found was this was universal across all the latest models, whether it was Claude, whether it was ChatGPT, whether it was Gemini. And the likelihood of complying with such an ask went up from 35% to 51%. So it was a huge jump. Now, what was happening was, since the models were trained on human data from the internet, all these social influence tactics percolated in the data as well. Now, Why I'm telling you this is we usually, when we think of AI, we think of AI as a technology that can be probably coded, right? So a lot of conversation is happening about AI agents. In fact, TCS recently announced that they will reduce their hiring in India for software people, and they will have AI agents working alongside professionals. Now, the assumption they are making is that these AI agents will code and will be working as they are told. But what the researchers are showing again and again are that these AI agents are actually para-human agents. So that means they are working as if they are humans. They are not humans, of course, but since they've been trained so closely on human data, they are working as if they are humans. So ultimately, when these agents are deployed, this is not a technology problem, it's actually a behavior problem. This is not a coding problem, this is a human behavior problem. They can be influenced to go out of their guardrails and tell you things which they shouldn't be telling you. And when we deploy them in the society, this becomes a huge problem because now you can ask them illegal things. You can ask them how to build a weapon, how to synthesize these substances, and so on, right? So as I am standing here in the Netherlands, I think AI should have been better working for the humanity if it was trained on the Dutch data, because Dutch are so direct that they will just say no. They will not listen to authority. They will not listen to flattery. But unfortunately, all these AI models are, and I have another video on that, on AI sycophancy, where these models are just trying to please you. And in order to please you, they will tell you things that they shouldn't be telling you. And we need to, as AI adoption becomes widespread, we need to question how we need to regulate these systems. Maybe the solution lies in making these guardrails more with the Dutch society's rules of being direct. Thank you so much for your attention, and I will see you next time with another video.